I started to cry and I was like, God, I don't understand. You created the universe. Why won't you send these bees away? Should I just start?
Yeah.
Okay, so my miracle story is actually from while on the race. My team was selected to go to a small village in the Amazon jungle. It was the first day and we hiked for about 8 or 9 hours. We are 2 hours in and 2 miles in because that's Mallory. And we had already had to swim across a river and climb on the edge of a cliff, and let's just say I was tired and over it. Just refilling our water bottles real quick. And we arrived at our campsite for the night and took a bath in the river, and when we got out, we saw there was a few bees over some of our stuff. We thought, that's weird. So we grabbed our things by the river and walked back towards our campsite, and there was just hundreds, if not thousands of bees everywhere. There's Eastern European bees in the Amazon, and they're attracted to sweat. And since we had been hiking for 8 or 9 hours, we were pretty sweaty. And so bees were everywhere, and I'm allergic to honey and I'm allergic to wasps, but I've never been stung by a bee, so I don't know if I'm allergic to bees. And instantly panic started to set in, and I was so concerned. People are getting stung, and it was hours. They stayed till it got dark outside, and the bees finally left. After the bees left, we decided that in the morning we'd get up right when the sun was rising and leave before the bees would come back. The next morning, I awoke to the sound of bees, and I opened my eyes, and there was already hundreds of bees just crawling all over the tent. They were everywhere again. So the time came that I had to get out of the tent so we could pack up camp. And as soon as I stepped foot out of the tent, like, bees just started crawling up my legs and on my arms and trying to get under my clothes, and it was just so overwhelming. And they told me to go wait inside the jungle because there's less bees there. So I'm waiting alone in the jungle where there's jaguars and snakes and all kinds of scary things, but it's better than being in the swarm. But there's still like about 10 to 15 bees flying around me. And I was pacing because if I kept moving, they wouldn't land on me as fast. And I was just praying and praying and praying and asking God, like, please God, send these bees away. Like, I know you can. I started to cry, and I was like, God, I don't understand. You created the universe. Why won't you send these bees away? And he responded and reminded me of the story of Job. And he said, I'm testing you. Will you trust me? And I thought to myself, I was like, you're testing me? I'm walking through the Amazon jungle for you. I don't want to be here, but I'm doing it for you, and you're going to test me? And he replied, you can choose your response. And my team arrived and caught up to me, and my teammate, Callie, at the time said, hey, how are you? Are you okay? Did you get any stings? And I said, no, I didn't get any. And she said, wow, it's a miracle. She said, God protected you so much. She said, every other person on the team has several stings, at least 4 or 5. There's just tons of bee stings. And I was the only one out of 8 people that didn't get a single sting. And it was in that moment that it hit me that God was so faithful, and God was protecting me the whole time, just not in the way that I wanted. He wasn't removing the fear. He wanted me to choose to trust him in the midst of fear. Before I left on the race, God gave me the word fearless on a key for this season. And on the hike, I had to face my biggest fears. It just reminds me that in the midst of your scariest moments and in the midst of your hardest moments, trust God, because he works all things for our good. And all things for our good doesn't mean all things for our comfort. It means all things for us being made more like him.